Welcome to Hannah's Heart.
So Hannah, she's just one of the women who did struggle with infertility in the Bible.
No matter who we are, we can be inspired by the fact that Hannah took her pain to God, and God heard her and was with her.
So when she was praying at the temple, she had been weeping and not eating, and her lips were moving, but her eyes were closed, and the priest was like, "Hey, why are you drunk at the temple?"
It can become an obsession when you want a child so deeply.
And desiring that baby and to be a mama. Every holiday, every Mother's Day.
This is not a show that's going to promise you a certain outcome, but this is a show that says, however God answers your cry, we know that He's enough.
Hey, I'm Ann, and you're not going to hear I'm Kendra again this week. She is out with baby girl, about to be here at the time of this recording. So Kendra is out right now, but like last week, I have Will on again, my sweet hubby. Hey, Will.
Hello.
Once again, you guys, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and keep those emails coming at hannahsheart@afa.net. And you can also find us on YouTube if you like to listen to podcasts that way. We are doing a 2-part series with Brother Matt Powell and his sweet wife, Andrea. We're on number 2 today, but this will end up being a 3-part series. So I would encourage you, if this is the first time you're listening and you hear those names, Matt and Andrea, you need to go back to last week, to the last podcast, and catch up where we're at on their story. We have covered some miscarriages that they've had and 2 sweet girls that they've had, and we're about to hear some more of their story today. So Matt and Andrea, hello.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
So Will, do you want to start off for today?
Well, sure. Well, so we left off at, remind me.
We left off on y'all. We had covered the miscarriages,
and that we had reached a place where like we're not going to have any more.
Right.
Like we're going to stop trying.
So where were y'all at? Is there a way to summarize where you were at with God at this point? Is there something that God was showing y'all that y'all?
That is a great question. I think for me, I was at a place of, I was not in a great place with my relationship with the Lord at that time. I felt very broken and even, I would say, betrayed, because in my mind I had this, white picket fence life with my little children and my husband, and we'd had such a fairy tale story of life.
Childhood sweethearts.
Right. Removing the miscarriages from that, but everything had been so great and wonderful, and I kept coming to the Lord with this question: God, if you're good, and a baby is such a good thing and a gift from you, why will you not say yes to this good thing?
Wow.
And I just felt like I was not at peace. I couldn't understand. And it left me, instead of leaning into Him and the promises that I know to be true, I just kind of isolated myself. Matt and I have never had, like he was saying on the last show, arguments or anything. And we didn't turn away from each other at this point in our marriage, but I just isolated myself. That's the only way I knew how to carry the grief, which we've later learned that's not the way to do it. But that's where I was with the Lord.
And as a point of clarification, it's not that we always agree. I mean,
right.
we
No, he's just
disagree
super
on
sweet.
No, that's very
He gives me my
charitable,
way because I'm extra.
But
Can y'all see why we love these people so much?
but it was a hard season because I was in, all right, I'm going to be the man and I'm going to fix this mode. And there was, I think, some resentment on my part. We've had nothing but wonderful doctors and nurses through the years and all of our medical dealings. And we think of, the doctors that delivered our babies and walked with us through miscarriage. We almost think of them like
family.
Yeah.
Like they are near and dear
Very close to our
Right.
hearts.
to our heart. And if you ask me to name every doctor that I've had in adulthood that has taken care of me, because we've moved around, especially early on, I don't know if I could name them all, but I know every name of the doctor that delivered our children and
Wow.
walked through it. But I think there was a little resentment that I had towards maybe doctors in general, or just the medical profession in general. It was like, why does this keep happening? Like,
Right.
why can you
This
all?
is your job.
This is your job. You need to fix us. Like, this is the 21st century. Like, what, there is something there, there's got to be a pill, a procedure, or something. And that is so silly to think that way. I think back on that now, and I'm like, why would I even think that way? They're just doing the best they can.
Right. But it feels nice to put the blame somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though I know you probably knew in your head, like, that doesn't make sense. But like we were saying in the last episode, like sometimes when you go through hurt, and we haven't even gotten to some of the hurt yet,
Right.
but I feel like the hurt that I know of desiring a baby and then losing 4 babies, it just feels good to have that blame, to have a reason, even if it doesn't make sense.
Right.
So,
exactly.
I made mention of disagreements. One of the disagreements that we did have is that after the third,
the
the
fourth, but
third
that
miscarriage,
back to back.
right? But after the third miscarriage, even before the fourth, I told her we need to stop because I saw what it was doing to her,
Right.
and I did not want her to continue to go through that
Right.
because I hate to, admit thinking so pragmatically. I'm thinking we have 2 children. We have to care for them. They're beautiful. They're wonderful. And we keep injuring ourselves so badly.
Mm.
And when they happen, 3 in a row like that, it was almost like, well, clearly God's not opening that door. So we need to quit pushing on it and trying to open that door. And so after the 4th one, and that was the one that was furthest along, and we mentioned last week, had to go to the hospital for, when that baby miscarried, it was, okay, we really need to stop.
Right.
Like, that we cannot do this anymore. And I say that not out of, I don't want to go through this anymore. I was thinking solely about her. I don't want to see her hurt anymore. That's just, I guess, where I was in that.
So that would have been summer of 2012. And so for that next year, it really was. I mean, we were done. I did not even think about having any more children. But Matt, actually, that summer of 2013, I'm not sure what changed in his heart, but he was the one that came to me and said, I really think we should try to have another baby, which was a huge change.
Brother Matt's face.
So I don't even remember this. So this is, wow. Go Matt.
Yes.
So I don't even remember that. That's crazy to me. But I'm grateful that I in that season was able to transition. Are you sure that happened?
I'm positive that happened.
Well, how about that?
And at first, I was very like, no, we're not doing that. And but the Lord just began to work on my heart and soften my heart. And it's like, okay, Lord, in essence, I'll give you one more chance, kind of thing. Which is not how we do it with the Lord. But in that moment, because of a place of hurt that I was coming from, that's where we were.
Right.
And shortly after, we found out we were expecting again. And this pregnancy was very different. Of course, I was very, very, I guess, just in a state of fear that first 12 weeks as we would go to appointment, almost sick to my stomach every time we would go in, just waiting to hear that heartbeat or to see the baby on the ultrasound. And everything had been great and wonderful. And we got to our 10-week appointment, and at that time, typically you can hear the heartbeat just with the ultrasound or the Doppler. You don't have to have the ultrasound. And we were in the room, and my doctor is like moving it around, and she can't hear it. She can't find it. And so I'm laying there thinking, like, this is happening again. Like, how in the world can we be here a 5th time? Like, this cannot happen. This could not be happening. And Matt will
I was
say
standing
like
right there.
slow motion, you just kind of everything drowns out around you, and you think like you just don't even know what to think. And so my doctor, being very aware of what had happened in our recent past, was like, hey, you know what? It's probably fine. It's probably nothing. Let's just go down to ultrasound and see if we can see the baby on the ultrasound. And we're walking down the hall, and Matt's got my hand, and I'm already crying because I'm like, I know the baby's gone. The baby's gone. And we get into the ultrasound room, and as soon as she places that on my stomach, Judah, our baby, we didn't know it was Judah, but he shoots his fist right up into the air, almost like, dun-dun-dun, I'm here. I'm good,
Yes.
Mom. I'm good,
That's the way
Dad.
we took it.
And
And
it
they
was,
had-
Praise the Lord.
Yes,
Yes,
they had
praise
not
the
found
Lord.
a heartbeat yet, but he's
Right.
like in
But
there
he's
like
like,
fist pumping, and I'm like,
Yes.
okay,
He's
we're
good. He's good. And
awesome.
at that point, the Lord just provided such peace to my heart. Like, okay, he's gonna be okay. And then I didn't know it was a boy at that time, but like, this baby is gonna be okay. I believed that I was going to hold a healthy baby in my arms at the end of that pregnancy.
The cutest little blonde-headed boy.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, the most beautiful baby boy. Yes, absolutely. We did not know during our pregnancy with him that anything was off.
And we didn't know he was a boy. He's the
didn't.
only
Yes,
Only
that's
one
right.
that we
That is
did
the
not
only baby
Really?
that we
about.
did not know. We chose not to find out with him because, to me, I mean, he was a special. They're all special, but
Yes.
this baby was special because of
this was
everything that
life
we
after
had.
a lot of loss.
Right.
Right, and so we did not find out. And all through the pregnancy, everything was great and normal. All check-up were good. The ultrasounds showed that everything looked great and perfect. And so we get to July 10th of 2014, and they placed this baby boy in my arms.
Yes.
And
Yes. The first thing Andrea said when she saw him was, "Oh my gosh, it's another girl." And I said, "No, it is definitely
not a
a
girl.
boy."
Oh, my goodness.
It is definitely a boy.
Well, I say they placed him in my arms. I actually did not get to hold him right away. Within, 60 seconds of cutting the cord, it became very apparent that something was wrong.
Okay.
Very wrong. Judah, we came to find out, was born with transposition of the great arteries, which is not compatible with life without correction.
Okay.
His main arteries were backwards, and so he was not getting oxygenated blood the way that he needed to.
If you've ever heard of someone having a blue baby, this is
Right,
what that
that's
is.
what-
So, they need to pink up right away.
Right,
And
right.
he was not pinking up. He was a blue baby. And at, I guess, an hour old, they've got my brand new baby boy, my first son, our son. And they've got him hooked up to just stuff, everything. And in those moments, I mean, you are just like, again, how is this happening? I do not understand, God. Like, you've given us this baby, you've allowed the pregnancy to be fine, a healthy delivery, and then how are we here? And they take him on the helicopter, and they fly him up to the Children's Hospital in Mississippi. And we come to find out his diagnosis, and the doctors were wonderful to us there, very caring, at 24 hours old.
Yeah, I would like to say something here too.
Yes,
She's
go
just
ahead.
had a baby.
Oh.
And she at this moment
Yes.
she's just had a baby. I go immediately. I don't fly with him, but someone, a good friend of mine named Scott, carries me to the hospital up in Jackson, Mississippi.
About an hour from where
Yeah,
we
about
delivered him.
About an hour. And Andrea has just had a baby. And I think she leaves, like gets in the car and leaves
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they told me,
15, 20 minutes after I
we
left.
can't make you stay. So I
Yeah.
said, well, I'm getting dressed and I'm leaving.
Yes.
I'm going with
So,
my baby.
Just had a baby, and mommy instinct has
Kicked in
which is
big time.
Just God-given instinct is just taken over, and she is going to go and be with her baby. So, for whatever reason, I don't remember. Maybe it was longer than 15 minutes. I got to the hospital first.
You got there first
Yeah,
before I
and
did. Mhm.
There's a really. It's interesting to me remembering all of this now because, like I said, I don't know if I could name every doctor I've seen in my life, but everyone that's helped my children, I can remember. And the first doctor I saw, the place they took us was the NICU, at Larry Batson Children's Hospital. And I had never been in a place like that.
Yeah.
There were what seemed like to me hundreds
Right.
of babies.
Too many babies.
Too
Yes.
many babies
And-
were sick.
A place of suffering
Mhm.
for some of them.
Mhm.
And some of them had already been abandoned by their parents.
Mm.
Some of them would not live very long. And anyway, I'm there with my son there at the NICU. And the first doctor I met was a guy named Ahmad Sharafuddin.
Okay.
And he was Lebanese. And he is explaining to me what's wrong with Judah, that this is a normal heart and this is Judah's heart. And it was interesting to me, the first thing he said when he's drawing a normal heart, and he called his name, this is Judah's heart. And he talked about what was wrong with it. And then he looked at me and he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, don't worry, we can fix your son. And it was
It's like the first
the
time
first moment
a
of like,
professional says, we've got this.
oh,
Huh.
it was, hey, we know how to fix this. We can
Wow.
fix your son. And there was, I remember trying to relay that to Andrea of like, no, I talked to the doctor. It's going to, it is going to be okay.
said it's fine.
He is, and there was miles to go, so to speak.
Right,
but
right.
that, and I know, and I don't know if doctors are listening to this. I know you've got to be careful of what you say because you don't want to create false hopes.
hope.
Right.
But for us, that was just a monumental
Right,
moment of
right.
like, hey, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
going to be okay.
So when we got there, and he's just a few hours old, and I'm leaning over there and just holding his little hand. And he's got all this stuff all over him. And, you just want to pick him up and hold him, and you can't. But I remember a peace that washed over me again at that point, and just hearing the Lord saying to me, like, he's going to be okay. Like you're going to bring this baby home. He's going to be okay. And I just held on to that. I don't say that giving false hope to other people in situations like that, but I just believed that God was impressing that on my heart at that moment. And so at 4 days old, our sweet baby boy, we handed him over to the surgeons there, and he had open heart surgery, 8 hours of
Dr.
surgery.
Ali Dodge Katami.
That's right, Dr. Dodge
I'm telling you,
Katami.
these people have
These people,
these names are etched in our brains.
for sure. And he came out, and he was already pinking up and just looked so
Wow.
much better. It was a successful surgery. At 10 days old, we left the hospital, which is
Oh,
crazy
my
to think
goodness.
that you can have open heart surgery as
Golly.
a baby and then go home.
Within a
And
week.
Right.
Yes, amazing.
But also something started there is when they rebound his chest together, his sternum.
Yes, this is an
They use
important-
steel wire or it was some kind of metal
Steel
wire,
something,
whatever it is. I, that's not my field. So, but they used some kind of wire to bind his chest together so it would heal after they had, opened his chest cavity. And so from that point on, he was our man of steel.
Yes,
And so
Superman.
he became Superman for us.
Yes,
Yeah.
Super Judah
And he
from
already
the
did
get-go.
He'd
Yeah,
done
I
the
mean, he
fist
had already
bump.
done the
He
fist
was-
bump.
he
This
was
was made for
Superman.
him. He was meant to be a little
Yeah.
superhero. Yes.
Oh my goodness. So y'all go back home to Brookhaven,
Brookhaven.
right?
Mhm. That's
And
right.
how old was he when y'all moved to Tupelo?
He was right at 2 when we moved.
Okay.
Mhm. He would
Okay.
have
So y'all
turned
were
2 in
there
July.
for just a little bit longer.
Right. And from leaving the hospital, it was the doctor said, you let him play football. He can eat hot dogs. Like, he'll live,
he can
90
be a
years.
normal kid.
Yeah, just
And-
let him be a normal
and,
kid.
And
Uh-huh.
I remember the line saying, because this is the way he's been born, he'll have a cardiologist for the rest of his life. He'll see a cardiologist once every 6 months for the rest of his life.
Okay.
You'll likely face heart trouble before he
He
does,
has
because
anything.
he's going to be constantly monitored, which someone without a heart history
Wow.
is not going to be monitored. So there was this, oh man,
Man, he's good.
he is good.
so
He's going to be
He's
okay.
set.
And then that boy hit the ground running.
That's right. And for 3.5 years, just healthy, so fun. Oh my goodness, that
It
little
was-
boy.
I remember
Magical.
watching him run through church. I mean, just
Yes.
like the
Cotton
best
top,
time.
So happy. So
When I think
precious.
about that season of our life, that season was just magical.
It was.
It was our first boy, and he embodied boy to us because,
Yes.
we'd had all the miscarriages, And we had the 2 girls, so I had to just accepted my lot in life was girl dad, which I was okay. I love my girls.
Right.
But then this boy came along.
Like your
And-
playmate.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I just remember him changing me because all of a sudden I'm boy dad.
Right.
And he was everything that a dad could possibly want out of a little boy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say he was a daddy's boy because he's definitely loved his
He
mama.
loved his mama, but he loved his dad.
There was, both of us felt like, hey, he's a mama's boy or a daddy's boy. He just was that.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
And maybe it was all that we'd been through with him. And, I don't know. And the whole Superman thing. I remember the first time when we bought him a Superman outfit. And I remember it was the one, I know you've seen them at the store.
built-in
They're-
muscles.
Quite
the built-in muscles.
That's right.
And I remember the first time that he put that thing on, the kid, like as soon as he looked down and he saw those muscles, he stuck his chest out, and stood up, more erect and was like,
He was
I
owning it.
am Superman. And I was just like, that's my boy. Like, that's what I'm talking about. I had never had one of those before. And he just embodied that. And that time and season with him just radiated with fun. And why don't you share where we got his name?
Yes, absolutely. So Judah, of course, means praise for those that don't know. And in Psalm 9:1, it says, I will praise you, Lord, for your works, and we will remember the works that you've done for us. I'm paraphrasing there, but so that was where we came to his name, is that we wanted to acknowledge God for the creator God that he is, and give him praise for allowing us to carry this sweet baby to term, and for carrying him through the surgery and just giving us life.
Right.
And his middle name is Marshall, which is a family name, and it goes back multiple generations. So, but
Judah Marshall.
Judah Marshall, that's right.
I love that. So until he was 3.5, y'all did do those visits every 6 months.
That's right.
for his heart.
And
Now,
all the
early on, it
checkups.
was more frequent. than
Right,
that,
Right,
but
right.
then
okay.
it had dropped to less frequently. And in fact, one of the big things, because we loved life in Brookhaven, and our church we were in Brookhaven loved us, and we loved them. And just to this day, just thinking about all the precious people that we're connected to there. One of the big things when it became evident that God was leading us to come to Tupelo, it was very difficult, especially for Andrea, to think about, hey, can I leave this part of the state and go to Tupelo?
Right.
I mean, his doctors are down here. Like, what?
And he's not just a story around town. Like, everybody knows Judah.
Yeah.
Everybody knows. Yeah.
Well,
And-
it's something to say
yeah.
about the people when you go through struggles like that, the hard times, the people that were there for you during that time, to then pick up and leave.
Just to go. Right. Right.
Yeah, we became, you're Judah's dad.
Right. Yeah.
And it was,
Judah's mom.
I am
that's me.
Judah's dad and stuff like that. So it was one of the things that God comforted us with is that we did not know that Larry Batson Children's Hospital has an extension or an office here in Tupelo.
In Tupelo.
And at that time, we did not know that. And
Yeah.
the office focuses on cardiology.
No way.
Yeah.
Yes,
and
it
so
does. Yes.
once we discovered that, it was like,
That's a
Thank you, Lord.
thank
Again,
you, Lord. That we're
providing
at peace
and-
about this, and
Right.
it's going to be okay.
Right.
Wow, it seems the Lord is always working
Amen.
all things out for our good, but
Amen.
even something like that would have been a worry,
Exactly.
he ended up taking care of. So y'all, before you come to Tupelo though, how does baby girl fit in?
We were not expecting her.
You're
yet.
not, oh, okay,
Right.
okay.
Right.
So after we came here, we found out in, I guess, August that we were expecting again. So
Okay, and
Yeah,
y'all
we
got
have
here
had
when?
3 Tupelo children.
Yes.
Like all the first,
everybody else was all
you know,
over the place.
of the
and-
6, the
yeah.
first it was
something in the water.
Born while we were at college, and then born while we were in Tennessee, and then born while we were at Brookhaven, and then these last 3 have been
all Tupelo babies.
Total Tupelo, golden waves.
Little golden waves. I love it. Yes.
Okay, so and that is
Ainsley Caroline.
Okay, is everybody picking up on the A's
I'm
yet?
telling you, that's right. All these A's: Ashlyn, Adeline, Ainsley.
Oh, that pit is so much deeper. All of her sisters
All my
are
sister
A's.
A's.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so we're at the end of the show for today. So we've heard about miscarriages, and now we've had some heart problems, and then we're at baby girl now.
That's right.
And so we're going to come back again next week and maybe wrap up y'all's story. It might end up taking a part 4. We'll see.
Okay.
Thank you guys for listening to Hannah's Heart, and we will see you back next week to finish up Matt and Andrea's story.